want to say thank you, Miss Jackson, for taking this interview today. I know we've been back and forth with it, but
I'm so sorry. And thank you so much for your patience with me.
no, it's fine. I know we all have schedules. I try to be as I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but
Lenient,
yeah, or open,
flexible.
I know, yeah, to everybody's schedule because I know we all have families, different schedules and times and stuff. I wanted to say your first name. So how do you pronounce your name? I didn't want to mess it up. Is it
Oh, no
Toneal or
problem. It's
Toneal?
Toneal. Toneal.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. Because I was like, I don't want to mispronounce her
You are
name.
fine. You are fine. Oh, girl, I get everything from toenail, tonal,
See,
like everything. Yeah. So no, it's Tennille, and thank you for
see, and
asking.
that's why I was like, let me ask her when we get an interview if that's the correct way to say it because I don't like to butcher no one's name because I don't like my name being butchered.
Come
So
on, I say the same thing. Absolutely.
today we're just gonna talk about the book, but before we get to that, I want to just briefly go into yourself. Like,
Okay.
who is Miss Tanel Jackson? Like, what is who? Like, for people who don't know, I know you have many accolades. I've read your book. Well, I was going to read another book you have wrote. It was called Inspirational.
Inspiration from above.
Yeah, I haven't got to it though yet. I remember you telling me that day when we had met at the Black Expo in
Mm-hmm.
Indianapolis. But yeah, I know you have many accolades. So if you could just let you can just let
Girl.
people know.
Absolutely. So I always say explaining who I am depends on how you meet me, right? So you
Okay.
met me back in the time when I was really heavily wearing my author hat. So I want to say it was like 2017 or so when
Yes,
we met.
yes.
And so it does not seem like it, but that was 7 years ago.
I know.
And so within that time, like, so I am a national international award winning author, which is why you have me here today. And thank you for that. I have about, when you include anthologies, I have about 20 books that I have done. I want to say four are anthologies, four are prayer devotional journals. And so then the other 12 are just books that I have, that's my own books or whatever. Um, and so I am a national, international award winning filmmaker. So since we last spoke, I created a documentary in 2022 called The Four Eyes of a Black Man. This year I did a docu-series that was called I Survived It All, and it really featured the stories of women and the various issues that we've been able to survive. Beyond all of those different titles, because like you could go with me personally, professionally, politically, socially, and spiritually. Personally, I am a married mother of many. I have four daughters ranging from 16 to 22. I will be a grandma within the next few months. And so I'm excited about being a first time
Oh,
grandmother.
congratulations.
Thank you. I am a first lady. I am I'm the president of our women's department. So professionally, like I just told you, I am an author, filmmaker, a coach, and that's really where I'm at now, is more wearing my podcaster, speaker, coach hat. That's where I put a lot of my time now. Politically, I am running for office here in Illinois, Cook County specifically, for the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District Commissioner, and I will be on the ballot for November 5th. Socially, I have an organization called I'm Glad to Be a Woman. And, I'm just always mentoring and helping people. This is kind of just like what I do and who I am. My belief is that I was called to educate and empower. And so God has just given me the ability to do it within various forms and arenas. So that's me in a
Oh
nutshell.
my God. Tanil, how do you even sleep, girl?
Girl, let me tell you, I had to learn. Listen, I am 44, and I probably didn't learn about sleep until 39 or 40. Like, because yeah, it was a lot. Because even at the time when we met, I had a bookstore. I had two different bookstores. I had one in Ford City Mall in Chicago. And then I ended up getting an independent bookstore. And I thank God, like I did that for about 5 years. And
Mhm,
right when COVID was hitting, I had shut down my bookstore. So it was unrelated,
mhm.
but it was just, being obedient to the Holy Spirit that was like, this season of your life is over. And at the time, I did not understand why. But then, like I said, maybe about 6 months later, 8 months later, when COVID hit, I'm like, I couldn't even have imagined, trying to maintain my business in the midst of a pandemic. So it was
Yeah.
definitively a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. I mean, COVID changed everything, right?
Girl, listen, listen.
COVID changed everything. That was a turning point for us too. So I remember that day when we spoke at the Black Expo. We were like talking for, I want to say, like an hour. You had two other. It was an older lady, and then it was a younger. I don't know. She probably was the same age as you and I, but she looked like she was younger. But you had two other women with you that day who was helping you out, and I think the older lady had a book. It was a kid's book because I remember buying her copy too. I think her name was Lisa.
Yes, Lisa D. Adams, because it
Yeah.
was probably Aretha. Aretha Tatum was probably with me, Lisa Adams, and then my assistant Mary Millsap. Because so in those days we were touring heavily. So a part of APS, Artists Promoting Success, which is my organization. So
Hmm.
I have an organization for artists now, but then it's authors only, and we would tour. So we would do different things in Chicago, Indiana was
Hmm.
somewhere we went for the Indie Black Expo. We did Atlanta. We would go to like Tennessee. So I created tours for indie authors, and the Indiana Black Expo was always on our list.
Yeah, I remember because I think you were trying to get me to attend. You were it wasn't through APS. I think you were doing I can't remember what it was, but it's basically like a conference, and
Okay.
it was like at the end of August.
Okay. Oh,
And
that was the gala. So that was probably the first. So for 7 years, that was the year I started the APS Awards Gala. So it
oh,
was basically like so in 2017, and I did it every year except for this year. So we did it for 7 years, where I honored it all people indie. So indie authors, artists, singers, poets, so it was basically just a night of celebrating what it means to be independent. And it started that year, August 2017. You got a good memory. Absolutely. Yes.
girl, I know. I told you we was talking
Yes,
like we
ma'am.
were best friends.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
remember everything
Absolutely.
of our conversation. And so with that, why did you want to stop doing that? It sounds like it was a good thing going on.
Was a fantabulous thing. Like, so I started it again just out of obedience. Everything that I've done in the literary world was all out of obedience to God, from writing the first book, literally writing the first book, publishing company, bookstore, writer society, and then the awards gala. It was all something that I was doing out of obedience. And we did it, like when I say the first year, people thought that this was year 5 or 10. We had over 200 people to come out. And you have to put this in perspective to understand there were no quote unquote mainstream names on there. So you didn't have
Mhm.
any, this wasn't an R&B night. This wasn't, so
Right.
like this is literary. This is all independent authors. And it got to the point where I literally had people from all across the country coming in. We had people and when I say people, like the authors would fly in from Missouri, Kentucky, Atlanta, Delaware, Tennessee, like Ohio, like literally all across the country. Every year, different authors were coming in, and it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. In 2023, I did a night because 2023 was a 10-year anniversary of the organization Artists Promoting Success and a 7-year anniversary of the gala. And God had just given me to honor all of the people who have been an integral part of that. But at the top of this year, I he was not this year. There would not be a gala this year. And I didn't know why, but I just knew that he was saying not a gala this year. So around April, and I end up taking a hiatus from APS. I'm like, because we just need to kind of revamp. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm always here for you guys because, like with you, whenever I'm connected to people, I'm
Mhm.
connected to people. So like we're family, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And so and I didn't know in March and April. I just knew that I was being prompted to go on hiatus. Well, I ended up getting a house. And when I tell you, I had no clue.
Oh,
Like I didn't know until like I want to say it's July 4th.
okay.
We just had a generic conversation. And then next thing you knew, August 19th, we were moving into our house. We were not even thinking about a house prior to that. So it went really quick. That along with the fact that so I have of my four daughters, three of them are in college. One is a
Okay.
senior, one is a sophomore, one is a freshman. The one
Ooh.
freshman, she attends Clark Atlanta. So we had been using the entire summer getting her ready, and we had to move her
Mm.
in August. And I'm like, Lord, see, you know what you're doing. Because again, at the top of the year, we didn't know she was going to school. Like she was still on the fence about
Oh,
whether
like going
she
back
would
and forth on
go.
the fence.
You see what I'm trying to say? So it's not that I had a clear cut understanding that this was what my year was going to go would be like. I had no clue, but it
Right.
just kind of ended up unfolding. I'm like, oh, that's why, because had we had the gala, I'm normally starting to prep for it around, April, May, and
Mhm.
it just would not have been possible. So it's
Mm.
not that I mean, and then each year just got bigger and better because, like I say, we had gotten to where we had the indie artist of the year. So we had incorporated like a live entertainment aspect of the gala. So we would honor like singers, poets, and then even filmmakers. And so like literally whatever type of artist, if you were literary, visual, or performance artist, you had a space at the APS Awards gala.
So are you going to continue the gala next year or you're not certain what?
Ooh, we gonna just go with I'm not certain because
Okay.
let me tell you, I don't know who gonna see this video, and people take me at my word because normally if I say it, it's gonna happen. And so I legitimately because I'm in a different season right now, right? Like, and I
Okay.
don't know whether or not I'm going to win this election. And so if I do, that's gonna kind
Yeah.
of switch things a little bit. And even if I don't, like I say, I'm really doing a heavy focus more on looking into speaking and podcasting. And because if I redo it, if I bring it back, it has to be better than it was before. Like I can't restart like I'm just starting from the beginning. And
Right.
so, it's just it would be a lot of work behind the scenes. So we're gonna just safely say we'll see what God say. We'll
Okay,
see
I'm
where it
wrong with
leads us.
that. And I noticed, like what you said about the podcast, that I mean, I liked a couple of things that you talked about with, I think it's called Coffee.
Coffee conversations.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
What brought that about?
Girl, listen. Okay, so what you're talking about is from the TikTok platform. So
Okay.
I am across all these different platforms. So on Facebook, I have been able, and we just been 100% transparent because that's what I do.
Yes.
So I have been able to be monetized on Facebook. And so, but I was not consistently doing reels. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I need to start doing this intentionally and not just,
Mhm.
oh, you just happen to do it. Because I just looked up one day and Facebook was like, congratulations, you can be monetized. And I had no idea what that meant. I had no idea what I did, why I was able to
Mm.
be monetized. I just knew that I could be. So, okay. And you get a couple, a little $5 check, $8 check, every
Mhm.
month, whatever. So I'm like, oh, okay, it might be something to this. But then
Mm.
I had different people telling me about TikTok. Now, mind you, I had never really done TikTok.
Yeah.
And so I went on TikTok and it was just this day. Because in my mind, like before we started this, you gotta look a certain way. Like, even though I don't have no makeup on now, like you don't just go on camera with your hair all whatever. But my daughters were telling me, they were like, Mom, no, with TikTok, like it for most people it's more relatable when you just because you don't just get in front of camera like I woke up like this on TikTok, like they
Hmm.
get you when you so it was this one morning it was just something I wanted to say and I was making my cup of coffee. So I'm like, you don't have a coffee conversation. And so that's really how it started. It was just generically off the cuff. And so like that's something that I do want to pursue because they tell you as a content creator, you need to be uploading at least 3 videos a day. And so with me, because I'm defensively a planner and a strategist, I'm like, okay, so I need to know what types of videos I want to do. So I'm like,
Hmm.
so my morning message, and instead of calling it the morning message, I just thought that it was a little bit more catchy to say coffee conversation. So
It is though. I like it. I like the title.
thank you.
It is catchy. I was thinking, I'm like, well, maybe she named it that because she like coffee or something.
You know what? And that's the thing that's crazy is literally probably for 6 months now, I just started drinking coffee. Like I didn't used to like coffee at all. And now it's like every morning I gotta have a cup of coffee. So yeah, yeah.
Girl, I can't stand coffee. Oh
I
my
didn't like it either. But I don't know what happened. It was just one day I drank and everybody talks about me because I'm a coffee drinker, meaning
uh-huh.
most people like sugar, well, coffee with their sugar. Like for me, I don't drink, I don't use
Oh,
sugar.
you
I
just drink it black?
just give me or like I can depending on the roast, like I can drink it black, but if you can just give me some creamer, just give me some creamer, I'm good. Like, and then it turns, as my cousin would say, once it's paper bag color, then I'm all right. So like, it don't need to be totally light, but just a little bit lighter than dark, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
okay. I'm okay. So yeah.
All right. I don't know. I just could never get into coffee. I'm a tea person.
Okay.
Love my
Okay.
tea. So yeah, that's what I like to
Got you.
drink. But yeah, I'm like, okay, well maybe she like coffee a lot. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not addicted, but yeah, if I'm gonna drink it, I'll keep the sugar. Like, I don't need a whole lot of sweetener. Just give
Yeah.
me some cream, and we're good.
I know you told me everything that you've been doing. How do you manage to balance all this with your family?
Have I said prayer? Have I said God like multiple times? Serious. Like you cannot see. Let me see if I can swing this around.
Okay.
Wait, let's see this. Can you see that in the
Uh-huh,
background?
your calendar.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. So everywhere I go, so that is a massive wall calendar. So between my wall calendar, my phone, my kids, like there are constant reminders about the things that I have to do, right? So what I did have to learn, because I did have some health issues a while ago, and that gave me to be more intentional about my yeses, right? So like, in your 20s and your 30s, you think you're invincible and you can just tell
Yeah.
everybody yes on everything. So I learned how to start embracing the word no, being intentional about when I gave a yes and how I give a yes, because just within my household, it's 6 of us. So giving all of them yeses is already a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And then with the organizations and everything, it's you thank God that there's 7 days a week, but you really learn how to become proficient with time management. So it's
Okay.
like everything isn't something that you do every day. Certain things, so like with the church, like with the women of the church, we might do like quarterly events, or like we have our monthly gatherings on the second Sundays because we're already at church, so it's not
Mhm.
an extra something you have to do. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's just like, okay, well, since we're already here, just add an extra 90 minutes on the second Sunday. So again,
Mm.
not every week. And then, like I say, once a quarter, we'll meet outside. So it's not like you're doing a whole lot, within each round. But when you add everything up, yeah, you totally busy. But within the respect of things, you're not doing a lot of the time. So yeah.
Yeah, because you have to be mindful of your own mental health.
Yes,
Like
ma'am.
people take advantage of that, and that's a real thing. Like taking
Yes,
care of
ma'am.
your own mental health, and uh, yeah, you can be reminded that in harsh ways if you don't, like you
Absolutely.
said, tell people those no's, and it could be
Absolutely.
even your own kids, your husband,
Absolutely.
your best friend, or whatever. You're only one person. You only can do so much. We're not perfect. We only
Listen, and I had to learn that the hard way. Like we're laughing about it, but I am also a stroke survivor. And so like that was one of the things, like the culprit of my stroke was stress. Like in '09, I was diagnosed with a severe stress disorder. And so the way that stress manifests with me was through a lot of different things. First, it was a stroke. You know, I suffered with migraines for a very long time. And those things are extremely scary. But if you don't deal with it, you don't think about it as being, you know, that these
Mhm.
are life threatening or at the very least life changing conditions.
Mhm.
And so it's like when I started noticing that the biggest culprit wasn't other people, it was me, because
Mhm.
I'm the one that has control over my no. And so
Mhm.
I have been a huge proponent of self care. Like I say, growing up with me, we were not the era of self-care and mental health. You know,
Mm-mm.
like our generation didn't preach that. You know, like you were looked at as being a weakling if you're talking about I don't feel good. Like it never mattered how you felt. It was, are you doing these things? And so for me, I am so grateful that we are now in a generation that acknowledges that mental health matters too. Like we always telling people, get your checkups. If you're a woman, we talk about mammograms and all these different things. So I'm so glad we've moved into being a generation that acknowledges mental health, that has mental health awareness days, that have, like with my children, when they were still in grammar school and high school, it was where they had these mental health days. We never a mental health day, but now they're ingraining it into the norm. And I'm so glad about that, because at the end of the day, if your mind isn't right, good luck with trying to get everything else to follow suit, you know?
And
So
then that is very true because the whole body is all connected,
to the
and you have,
absolutely.
yeah. So you have to, yeah. It's really tough. It's hard sometimes, but you have to really give, even if it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes here and there. You have to have that to yourself, so you can still maintain to do the things you do. And because if you're no good to yourself, how are you going to be good to other people?
That part. And you know, and it's like me being a traveler, that was one of the things that started hitting home for me too. Like when you're on a plane, before they take off, they go over this whole spiel where they tell you, hey, in case of emergency, when those oxygen masks come down, before you go to save anybody else, you have to put it over your own face first. And that really started hitting home for me, where it's like that's a life lesson. You know, like we're so busy trying to help everybody else, but how
Yes.
good are you to somebody else if you're dead or if you're laid up in hospital or something?
Hmm.
So again, that was one of the ways that I started knowing, you know, and like I say, it's been 11 years since my last stroke, but there was a massive change in how I conducted my life, even the people who were in my circle, because it gave me to start assessing, like when people don't care about the fact that you're sick or you're laid up somewhere, it's like, so you only care when I'm able to do for you. Then that's not a
Hmm.
mutual relationship. So I I don't need you no more. I don't need, you know, you start cutting
No, that's real. That
you
is very
start
real.
cutting things off. And that's really that's one of the major things I had to do too. Like make sure that I assess my circle so that the people who are in my circle are actually here for the right reasons. So that number one, they're not asking for stuff all the time. And then even if they are, they're okay with hearing no. Like you don't have to worry about, are you gonna stop loving me? Or are you gonna stop supporting me because I give you a no this time? You know,
Yeah,
so absolutely.
yeah, yeah. That's real. Like, people will take until you just draw that boundary, that
Abs-
borderline. You just because they don't know how to stop until you
abs-
stop them. You know,
Absolutely.
you're the only one who's in control of you.
So true.
But anyway, with all of that being said, I'm glad you brought up all of these good points. So we're already in a discussion of it anyway. So
Mhm.
I read your book.
Hey.
I love it. And let me show you something else. Like, you have wrote.
Okay, my dear friend, that I hope you enjoy the book. Yay!
Yeah, I know. And I was reading it, and then it didn't dawn on me like until when I first started reading it, because I read your book like when you first gave it to me. So it's been many years. I had to like refresh and go over. everything. Why did you put your story last? That's what I always wanted to know.
Well, because I was the appropriate word that they use now is the curator. I was the curator. It was my concept. And so
Okay.
like for me, and it's really kind of like how I am with life. I typically always put myself last, right? Like
Mhm.
not in a bad way, but it's like, okay, I want you all to hear what all of these other people have to say. And then I just kind of came into not necessarily even wrap it up, but just to kind of also share, to let you know that this wasn't something you remember. I don't know if you are old enough to remember the commercial. It used to, it would say, "I'm not just a hair club president, but I'm also a client." It was kind of like that. Like, it's not just that I came up with this generic idea and then I want to tell all these other women to do it. But no, I also had to go through this thing where I had to learn to love myself too. So yeah, I think it, and it's also like just finishing the book with an exclamation point, because it's my project, making sure that I finished it on the note that I want to end it on. So yeah.
I think it was a good thing though. It was just like I just wanted to know like why did you put because everybody had great stories and there's some
Mm-hmm.
I can relate to, others I'm just like, oh, just
Mm-hmm.
I can empathize with their
Mm-hmm.
story. Um, but very, very good thing. I know you mentioned what you said about your health issues and stuff. You put that in there as well. I read all of that and stuff. And just reading your story alone, it just seemed like growing up, like how you came off, it was just like you like a little mama, like a little.
Guilty. Guilty.
It just seemed like you were a little mama. Like, I ain't gonna say because you were young. I'm not gonna say you had it all together, but
Mm-mm.
for the most part, for you at that age, at that time, it may have seemed like you had it all together because you were doing what you were supposed to do. Well, what you thought you were supposed to do.
That part, what I thought. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and do you think like at that moment when like you look back and you read that and you go like if you're looking like right now compared to younger girls that's your age, would you say that you had it more together than the generation that is present?
Um, I will not say I had it more together. I will say that it's definitively different generations. My husband and I talk about this all the time. Like, my stepdaughter is 33.
Okay.
And so I raised her, my goddaughter, who is also 33, and my nephew, who are also 33. So all of them were in the same house with my four children. So I raised seven children. Um, their generation and then the generation after them are definitively different than my generation. I think
Mhm.
that I'm the last of a generation who was taught to be this responsible this young, right? Like, because you have to understand, I can't my grandmother was married when she was 12. My grandmother had her first child when she was 12. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Mm,
my mother had my sister when she was 17. And the point that I'm making is, it's not that teen pregnancy is a new thing now, but see, now when 12, 14, 17 year olds have children, they're still living at home expecting their parents to raise their children. And
mm,
at my grandmother's age, they had their own homes. Like, they were the heads of their household. They just happened to be young, right? So for
mhm,
me, I was 21 when I got married. You don't see a lot of 21-year-olds getting married now because that's not instilled. You see what I'm saying? So I think
yeah,
like societal norms, expectations, whatever you want to call it, I think those have changed. So like, I think that I'm probably like the last of a particular generation. So things
mhm,
that I was able to do at 21, 25, it was because it was necessary with the lifestyle that I had.
mhm,
Nowadays, people are not 21, 25, even looking to be married. So they don't have to know how to
mhm.
do the things that come along with it. They don't have to know how to raise households and, keep people in check, as because they're still trying to figure out themselves, like You 30, 32. You still haven't had a child yet. By the time I was 32, all my kids were, you know what I'm trying to say? So
No,
I
I
think
can
it's not
agree.
necessarily, it's not a, I don't want to say it's not a fair comparison, but it's two totally different things. You don't even want to compare it because it's two totally different things.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with you on that note because you're right. Like our generation, basically, I don't know if saying grow up fast is a thing, but I just think that even before us, like our parents would be doing more than us.
Yeah.
So, just I think with us, I think knowing that we had to grow up fast and kind of do things, to help out, I think that we were more lenient on our own children. I know
Mhm.
I
Mhm. I definitely was because I tell you the other side to that is as you grow up and if you are a person who is able to be open minded, meaning you have some people who defend their way of being, like they don't even contemplate that there's a different way. Dare I even say a better way of being? They just, hey, if this is how I grew up, this had to be the best it was. But
mhm,
if you are the type of person you're able to be open minded to seeing, was there something jacked up about how I grew up? You know what I'm trying to say?
mhm,
Is there a different way of being? And that's kind of where I was like, and my sister, and I to this day, we'll have conversations about how our childhood was and it's not when we do different things for our kids, it's not under the notion that, oh, I want you guys to, I didn't have anything, but it's I parent from the perspective of I feel like life teaches you two things. It teaches you what to do and what not to do. And so for me, it's all the things that were done to me that I felt like should not have been done.
mhm,
Then I want to make sure that I don't do them to my children. So it is an intentional, conscious effort to not this whole concept of generational curses and stuff. Like I will not repeat, or at least not purposely, I will not repeat negative actions that were done to me or things that had negative impact on me. I will not repeat those things to my children. But the things that were done that had good outcome with me,
mhm.
then those things I will repeat. So I don't just do it because that's what was done to me. No, I took the time to assess like what effects did these things have on me, and if they were not good, then I'm not going to duplicate those efforts with my children.
That makes much sense. So you basically instilled the things that you liked when you were growing up versus the things like I don't think I want to teach my children that way.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
they should now that they should learn, but not that.
Exactly.
You
And I
know.
think one of the main things for me was discipline, right? Like discipline again, my generation, my parents were baby boomers. So my dad's level of discipline was totally different. And what I learned is that it doesn't always have to take, physical discipline. Like if you just learn to talk to your children and you can tell them, okay, this isn't good. When you did this, blah, blah, blah. Like they still had consequences when they didn't do good things, but they understood without me having to. Now I did do some yelling, but I didn't have to do as much yelling as was done to me. I definitely didn't do any physical, anything to my children because it's, um, it I understood what it did to me. And so it's like I definitely and I felt like I'm raising my children to be responsible and respectful. So I can sit down and I can talk to you all. Now the older kids probably didn't get this evolved to me, right? Like cuz it's like a decade 10 to
Between
15
the
years between
generation,
the two.
yeah.
Yes. So the older generation, they got on punishment more, because they did get, oh, I can't believe you bringing in these grades. No TV for 3 weeks. The younger kids, they're like, oh, we saw them get in trouble for 3 weeks, so we gonna make sure we bring home good grades. So it's like, so a lot of it was also, I think, the fact that they lived in house and they got to see it too. Like,
Hmm.
we don't want that to be us, so we gonna also do some self correction. So yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Don't blame them.
yeah.
So, okay. What I know you have so many hats you're wearing to this day, but what inspired you to even want to be an author?
Girl, God, I promise you I ain't lying when I say that. Because here is the irony. I was never a person that liked reading. I did not like reading, but like even though I have a master's degree and everything, I only read when it was necessary. Like for personal time, if it was a movie, give me the movie version of it. Like my sister was the one that loved to read. I was the
Okay.
one that liked watching TV or watching movies. But literally, it was one day in 2010. I remember being asleep and I woke my husband up. I'm like, God just said it's time for me to write a book, like, because I was asleep and it came literally out of a dream. And I had written down, because I've always journaled. That's what
Okay.
they call it now. For
Yeah.
we call keeping it a diary. I always had,
Yeah.
but so I had a book next to my bed and I wrote down, the name of the book, Pleasing Your Partner, Spiritual Guide to Happiness. And even when I wrote happiness, it wasn't, horizontally, it was vertically because happiness was an acronym.
Like an
And so
acronym.
it's like, absolutely. So I wrote down what each day. And after I did that, I laid back down, I went to sleep. And so like when the first book came out, I had no idea what it meant to be an author because that was never my world. I was never interested. Like I didn't have some famous author person that I was looking up to. Like my mom and my sister, they would read like Stephen King stuff, and they were the
Oh,
read.
okay.
I had never read a book before. I mean, like not outside of
Like for
school.
a hobby, like for fun.
Yeah, I didn't just have a favorite author. I could tell you a favorite TV show, but we'd go all day long talking about theme songs and you know what I'm saying? Like that was my lane. So I said, Lord, you really have a sense of humor, taking somebody who couldn't stand reading. And here it is, I'm 20 books later, haven't been a publisher. So I've helped over, I don't even know how many people publish their own books, being a book editor, reviewer on the book. So I said, that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna put me in exactly what I never did.
Every
And that's the
aspect.
reason why I never say never anymore. Because every time you say what you never do,
You end up doing it.
yes, you do. Yes, you can. And yes, you will. So yeah.
And I agree with you with that. You
Hmm.
can say, I don't think I would, but
Never say never. Never say what you will never do. I learned that lesson a long time ago. Never say that because you never know. Like at the end of the day, he may end up using that to turn that test into your testimony. You don't know. So I just say, I pray to God, this is something I never have to deal with.
hey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
So what drives your creativity? Like when you write?
It depends on what I'm going through because I am like certain authors. You have some authors that they only specialize in one area, right? So if they are fiction authors, all they write is fiction, like, but for me, I write across the board because there are so many different things that have inspired me. There's so many, like sometimes, even though I will say I specialize in like nonfiction self-help,
Hmm.
I because I have more self-help books than anything, but I it depends on what it is that's coming on at the time. Like I have a few relationship books, I got a few children's books, couple inspirational, I did a novel, did some prayer devotional journals. So I think it just really depends on the time. It
Hmm.
depends on, what God is saying to do. Cause everything, I don't want to say that everything is a God inspired book, because that would be a lie. First book was definitely God inspired. The prayer devotional journals were definitely God inspired. I think that like when I did the stuff for my girls, that just kind of came out. The four girls, a lot of choices, that just kind of came out of me. And then the follow-up, because that was supposed to be an entire series, and we never got around to it. When I first wrote Four Girls, I think my oldest daughter was 6, and it was supposed to be an entire series. Like in my head, I wanted them to be like the Black Mary Kate and Ashley type
Okay.
situation. But then next thing you know, now my daughter is 22. So I don't know where the time went. You know what I'm trying to say?
Hmm.
So and I lied. The oldest daughter was, she was 10, not 6, she was 10, and now she's 22. And it's just like, so do you still even want to come out with the series? Do you just let it be? Because I haven't had any inspiration to revisit it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Hmm.
sometimes it's that thing where if you don't catch the moment passes you by. When I did Inspiration from Above, that was just reflecting some of the different things I had gone through in my life. I did being a black man is harder than you think. That was in conjunction with the documentary I was telling you about, The 4 Eyes of the Black Man, and that
Okay.
came off of we were coming off of George Floyd, and everything that had happened there, and you combine that with the fact that I was doing another project with some women, and this one woman was talking about what depression looked like on her husband. And it was like that was defensively God inspired because I was like, men don't really talk about stuff, like they hold so much stuff in and they don't necessarily have an outlet. And so I thought about, I'm like, I want to kind of create a new way of seeing Black History Month. And so I got 28 Black men from across the country. All these were my friends, different ages, different professions. The only thing that really combined them was the fact that they all Black men, but from
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it's like 28 maybe to 70 was the age difference, and we had some in Chicago, but Ohio, Atlanta, North Dakota, like literally all Michigan, all across the country, Delaware, New York. I mean, and just to see, and it was so amazing to me, the stories, the similarities of their stories without, it wasn't like they were all sitting in a room together. These were
Uh,
just individual Zoom sessions. And when you started to kind of take the transcripts, if you will, and look at what all they said, it was amazing to me. And I'm like, because we have to start raising awareness. So kind of like how you said, like what you do, like, so everything that I've done, like I say, is really to raise awareness. It's just about the issue that I raise awareness about may vary, but whatever it is I'm doing is going to always be something that's going to educate you and or empower you about what's going on with life and getting you to see it from a different purview.
yeah, I agree with you because men don't really. I talk to my husband like that too. I guess because no matter what generation, uh, I guess that stays the same. If that makes
Hmm.
sense,
Hmm.
they're taught not to be weak,
Yep. And
and it's
showing
not really.
emotion is taught as being synonymous as being weak. Like if you cry, if you say you had a bad day, if you show, like you can't show anything and still feel that you're a man. And I feel like that's definitively something that needs to change because people are people. People go through. People have bad days. People struggle from time to time, and I think that men could be even more empowered if they felt that sense of support because it's like the moment when they want to show emotion, if they're not seen as being manly men, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And so now they're struggling, and then, and not make an excuse for, but if you look at like the different statistics, a lot of domestic violence happens that's in the home because they have now just kind of spilled over and they're lashing out from the people within. And again, by no means am I saying that I'm condoning that because I'm
No,
not
no,
at
that's
all.
fine.
But what I'm saying is that if we normalize giving men outlets to express themselves without being seen as weak or less than or inferior or something is wrong with you, the same way that we normalize it for women, I think that that would really have a positive effect holistically within our society.
Yeah, because like you just said, I knew you weren't saying that domestic violence by any means was okay because they just have this emotional buildup.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then just one thing you may say will just, that's the trigger.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's unfortunate, but I agree with you with that. Like to make it more normalized. It's not a gender thing, it's just
Mm-hmm.
a human thing.
Exactly. Exactly. Absolutely.
So, just in perspective, it just seems like you write about your environment. So, have you ever wanted to be more flexible, like write outside the box, like creatively, like more like fictional characters or
That's
fantasy or
Yeah, that's probably not me. And I'm gonna tell you, so like every person should know what is your wheelhouse and what is
Hmm.
not your wheelhouse. For me, doing the children's books, that's as well, and that's not even really fictional, right? Because the way that I wrote it was pretty much based off my girls. I did a novel that was really kind of narrative fiction, and so that was still kind of loosely based on my life and different things like that. And that was Love Me Please. But I don't, I can, what I say, we never say never. But I can tell you that there is a strong likelihood that you will not read like a paranormal fantasy, because it's not my element. And even
Hmm.
like whether it's as an editor or publisher, like I won't even publish or edit works that I'm not familiar with. And so like because what many people don't understand is that every genre has its own formula, right? Like, so when there are certain elements that make up every story. So if you are a self-help person, if you're self-help but you didn't give any tips, that wasn't self-help. Self-help is let me help you, let me show you. It's more show than just tell, right? And
Hmm.
so the point is that every genre has its own formula. And so having been in this literary realm for over a decade, and I don't have any type of background in it, that means that's something else that now I have to stop, teach myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, so now this is a
Mm.
whole researching project because I got to figure out what these elements are comprised of. Like, what does it take to write a fantasy book? Because you have to understand, just because you're new to the genre doesn't mean that the readers are. And so readers are going to be able to call you out and they're going to say, hey, this is garbage. There's no way that this was a fantasy book because she said this, and you know what I'm trying to say? So for me, I don't foresee in nobody's future that so again, I'm not saying never. I'm
Right.
saying I do not foresee
Right.
anything outside of nonfiction being in my future. Now, I've gone across the board in nonfiction. So I've done relationship, communication, self help, inspiration. So I've done a lot of stuff under the nonfiction umbrella. I don't do a lot of autobiographical things, but I do not necessarily see me going across into that fiction line. Mm-mm.
Okay. So, what do you think for you is the most challenging when you are writing a book?
Oh, um, probably time and focus. So time, because as we've talked about, is just always so much stuff going on. And so, you can start writing a book and it can take you years to write it. Like I'll get case in point, this is an exclusive, nobody else knows this. I started writing this book called what is it? When Love is Just a One-Way Street. And
Okay.
it is like a novel, right? I started writing that book back in 2012, I think 2012, 2013. And I mean, wrote like 12, 13 chapters. I mean, this is it's a big book. And I just I never finished it. And it's supposed to be one of a series. Like I want to be the Relationship Roads series. So like you got One Way Street, you got When Love is Merging, You and Love. Like it's a lot of them already thought out, got all of the characters and everything. But in the midst of that, it's not that I didn't release any other books. I just did everything but those. And then
Mhm.
you just kind of go where the inspiration takes you. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So for me, that's why I say kind of like time and focus, because it just depends on what I'm focused on in my life. Because at one point in my life, my main focus was just writing. But then I shifted to when I did my organization, my focal point became more on helping other independent authors. And then you open up this bookstore. So it's running this business plus helping authors. And then you start the Writer Society. So you got all of these different things. And so that's how come probably around 2015 or so, that's when I started doing the anthologies, because it was like, whereas I didn't necessarily have the time to complete an entire project by myself, people could still get pieces of me. They could still get something like, oh yeah, Tennille do still, you know what I'm saying? So I think 2022, if I'm not mistaken, when I released the Black Man's book, like
Mhm.
that was the first solo project that I had released in a couple years. I had been, like I said, I've been doing anthologies, but that was the first solo project that I had done in a couple years. So I would say for me, it's never inspiration. Like I never struggle with being inspired to write something. It's never the ability to write it, but it's just having the time and focus to just for just that project. That's probably the hardest thing for me.
Okay. So with everything that you have written so far, I never really paid attention because I only read just the Learn to Love Me book. But of all of your books that you have written, have you had the experience of doing independent versus traditional publishing?
Okay, so let me answer the question this way. I was signed before, and I ended up coming out of that contract. I like before we even got 3 months into it, I had to undergo some proceedings to get out of it. And I'm gonna tell you why. And this is one of the reasons why I do a lot of teaching on the pros and cons of self-publishing. Because people look at traditional publishing as being the end all be all, like this is really the thing that I want to do. And I
Mhm.
think it has its place for the right person. For me, when I got involved and they were trying to lay out for me, this is what your calendar has to look like. No, no, no. Mm-mm. Let me raise my hand. Because again, at that point, I didn't know. Because again, you got to understand, I didn't really, because this was for my second children's book, which was the third book that I came out with. So the first book I had self published, second book, and I paid somebody to do it. So I went through another company. So that would actually be like a hybrid, a vanity press. So I went through a vanity press for books one and two. For book three, it had gotten picked up. But I had absolutely no say so over the way that the book looked, like in terms of, because this was a children's book, so
Mhm.
you don't have creative control. They designed the characters, which was nothing like what I wanted to look like. They changed the name from what I had because they didn't feel that it was as marketable. And
Mhm.
they were telling me this is what your schedule would look like in order to promote it. And that was for me, I drew the line right there because even if so, just a quick tip for your audience, like even if yes, you may get whatever monies up front, whatever advance, understand if you are not a celebrity, the advance ain't gonna be that much to jump up and shout about anyway. But you totally lose creative control. So if you are a person and you feel like, man, this is the book that God gave me, or this is exactly how I see me telling this story, it's not going to matter when you sign with a traditional publisher because they now own the rights, and they can, whether they change it or they make you change it, your manuscript now has to conform to their vision. Your vision doesn't matter anymore. And the other thing is now you owe them because they gave you that advance. So this wasn't just money they was giving you from goodness of their heart. They gave you this money up front with the thought of you're going to pay us back. How do you pay us back? By going on tour, by making sure that you sell X amount of copies. And for me, that was one of the reasons why I became an entrepreneur, because with the lifestyle that I have, I cannot work traditional hours. I definitely can't have nobody else telling me where I'm going to be. I got a husband and kids that tell me that. Can't nobody else. You understand what I'm trying to say? Can't nobody else tell me, well, I don't care if this is your
Mhm.
daughter's birthday, this is where you have to be. No, sir. No, ma'am. So that's when that was really the moment. Like I said, I had to come out of that contract, and whatever legal implications that went along with that is what I chose to do. And whereas I may not be as financially situated as some would say, you should just kept the deal, but I have more of a peace of mind. Now, all of my books are like, I want them to be on the time that I want them to be on. And like we were just talking about with the time and focus, again, when you sign a contract, you have to produce that project within whatever that timeline is. What happens if something that happened in my personal life? What happens
Right.
if I don't have the ability to do, you know what I'm trying to say? So it was just, it for me, it was a lot more stress and pressure than what I needed. And so it was best for me to maintain all of the creative control behind it and just do it myself.
That's so true because just hearing different people's stories about traditional versus independent publishing, I mean, it's pros and cons with both.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, just the things you're mentioning is of what other people have been saying as well. So, I
Mhm.
mean, because you could be on your deathbed and yeah, you still you know that book.
That part. That part, and they because they're not paid to care. Like we paid you, so you owe us. It's really that cut and dry for them. And that's what I said. I tell people all the time, like, you have to understand this is not the days even of like the Stephen King's, we mentioned that before, where you had people who were in total obscurity, and then these publishing companies will come and take you and just make a name for you. Because of social media now, there are expectations. Like, they expect that you have at least 10,000 followers on Facebook or Twitter. They expect that you've already sold, 3 to 5,000 copies of your book before you get started. And my thing was, and again, this is if you're going after them. So not if they're coming to you, but
Hmm.
you're
Hmm.
going after them. And my thing was, if I'm working this hard and if I can achieve all of this without you, then I'm just gonna keep on going and believe in myself. And if I got
Hmm.
10,000, then that means I can get 20,000. You see what I'm trying to say?
Hmm.
But for certain people, it does work. A lot of people may not, if you don't have a life, or your schedule is wide open, or you don't actually have a personal vision, you just actually are like, hey, these are checks I can depend on, then go ahead with traditional publishing. You know what I'm saying? So I would never badmouth traditional publishing or self-publishing. What I do is pretty much just inform people on the pros and cons associated with both.
Right. I mean, that's all you can do at the end of the day because
Absolutely.
every one glove don't fit all.
That's it. That's it.
You just have to go with what works for you.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
what advice would you give someone who's trying to be an author or just now getting their book published or, trying to get into the industry?
That's good. I would the advice I give across the board, regardless of what it is that you're doing, is to know your why. Like, know why you are doing this thing, right? So if you choose the independent route, why am I going with independent versus trying to be a traditionally published author, right? Because, like, there are things that should be a conscious choice. Some people will choose to go the independent route because they don't like rejection, right? Because it's not like the first person. First of all, people don't even understand you have to have a literary agent. You can't just go and try to get with Simon and Schuster. So you have to get an agent first. So you may be turned down a lot from people that you are pitching to be your agent. Then if you get an agent, that doesn't automatically mean that you're going to get a book deal. So that's the reason why many people choose to be independent. And so, but in either case, I'm not going to go through the reasons why people choose that. But the point is, whatever choice you make, keep that in mind, because that helps to motivate you to keep going. Just like if you chose to be traditionally published, then understand it was a reason why I chose this. I understand that it might be a little bit harder at the beginning, but there are rewards that come along with it. So if you are a new author, understand your why. Why are you getting involved? Are you getting involved to be, and this is something that I walk my clients through, like, is this just something that you're proving to yourself? I always want to write a book, and so now I did it. So once you do it, that's your victory. Or is it, hey, I want to have something where I can, have, this is a hobby, so where I can make a little bit of extra money. So once you do that, you did it. Or is this a full-time gig? Is this I want to be the next best selling, like, have a plan in mind, have a reason why you're doing whatever it is that you're doing, because your reason is what's going to motivate you even through the downtimes.
Yeah, I think that's very good advice because you need to stay focused on
That,
what you're doing. and you can lose sight of that really quick if you.
Absolutely. When the storms start happening, when life starts life, you get in here and it's like you're so. And I also try to encourage people, don't let, and again, I don't care what it is, don't let money be your driving factor for anything that you do. Like, let it be a byproduct for sure, but don't let that be the only reason, because after a while you can lose yourself. If all you're doing is chasing dollars, then you lose the reason why you got started, or you would get to where you don't appreciate yourself anymore, because if you're not making what you thought you would make, and that's your only determining factor, then now you feel like you as a person have less value because somebody else doesn't see the value that you possess. So yeah.
I know, Miss Tonell. I need to be on your little mentor.
Girl, that's why I'm a life coach. This and listen now, like this is how come now I focus more on coaching and speaking and podcasting, because I feel like it's so much experience that I've gotten through life because I've hit it so hard myself. And it's like I like to give it back. So whether it's one-on-one through the coaching, whether it's, on the platform, a speaking platform, or even podcasting, and whoever tunes in listens. But I think that it's important that we always give back and we reach out, and each one reach one, each one teach one. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, um, I guess that'll wrap us up. I'm not going to hold you too much longer. I'm going to ask you 5 questions. There's no wrong or right answer. Just answer them real quick.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, with that being said, ask you 5 questions. Just answer them quick. You don't have to, like I said, there's no wrong or right answer.
Okay.
So, your preference, island or desert,
Island.
black or white?
See, I don't know what we talking about. So to be safe, black.
Okay. Um, country or city?
Oh, city. City.
City without a doubt.
All the way. Girl, absolutely. Whatever comes with it, I want city. Can't do the country. Mm-mm.
Introvert or extrovert?
Introvert. Introvert. All the way.
Pink or orange?
Orange.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
And are you a part of any book club?
I am not. I am not. Um, because that was a question. I am not. No.
Okay. Well, that wraps it up. I really appreciate you, Miss Tanel, for giving me this opportunity to interview you.
Absolutely.
Um, any further future projects, I would like to be included as well. Just, I'm really supportive with people who I interview or I speak with. So anything, like just shoot me a text or, I mean, so
Definitely.
far we've been communicating through Instagram, but
Mhm.
that too. But yeah, because I just like to see people thrive. That's my
Ab-
thing. I just like to. That's the reason why I interview you. I have a stack of books. You are in that stack. And it's like, yeah, you were in that stack always. So I'm told I got 10 people. I'm like, I'm contacting all of them. And you were the
Mhm.
one. And then you stuck out because, like I said, we talk like we known each other for like years, like we were already friends. So I felt
Yeah.
comfortable with you, and I'm like, dang, you weren't even paying attention to your booth anymore. I was like, I gotta go back to my booth.
Fully engrossed. Fully invested. That's me. That's me.
And then me too. I'm making my rounds. I don't know if it was like a break or something. I don't know, but yeah, it was just. I'm like, my husband like, you been over here for an hour talking. I'm like, I'm
Sorry.
sorry. I mean, that's all I could do because I know you were promoting your book, and then me and my husband was promoting his book, ATM, at that time, and yeah, it was just like I said, y'all just felt comfortable with you, and I'm like, yeah, I gotta curve. Plus, you autographed my book for me, so I'm like, yeah, it was personal for me. So
Yeah.
With
And I
that being
appreciate you.
said.
Thank you so much for reaching out, because what people don't know, and I'll be quick, is that I am not a person that like just because I am an introvert, right? So a lot of times when I do boosts, I normally will have my assistant with me so that for the most part she'll do the talking. And so then she'll bring people over, whatever. And I always, because I'm friendly, I'm just not necessarily an extrovert. And
Mhm.
so when we connected, like I that was genuine. You know what I'm saying? Like I was not talking an hour to everybody that stopped at the booth, you know. But it was genuine. I do wish you all the best. And I do want us to stay connected. And if anybody who watches this, you guys can visit my website, educated and empowered, the number 2.com. But yeah, reach out. You're a little bit different than they are right now, but you know what I'm saying? But like definitely stay connected, because as you see, I still avail myself. You know what I'm trying to say? Like when
Mhm.
I connect with you, we're connected. So that's just what it is, what it is. So it was so great to be able to see you again, and thank you
I
for this.
know you too. Well, I hope you have a nice day and the rest of your week be all right and great, future and to all your future endeavors. I hope everything goes well for you and your family. And until next time when we talk, I will keep in touch.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Right.
Bye.